On December 7th, 2022, or December 8th, 2022, based off of where in the world you live, this, what I'm going to be talking about is going to be either happening on December 7th or December 8th. But what's going to be happening? Well, it's going to be a full moon in the sign of Gemini. And so when I've done these videos in the past, I have put a lot of information in them and I just made it all about this one day. All that I'm saying applies to this one day, both the predictions and the prescriptive aspects of the video. And, I want to do something different. I want to make this a 2-week forecast from December 7th or 8th through December 22nd, 2022, because there's going to be a new moon in Capricorn that will occur on the 23rd. And I'll talk about that on another video. I'll plan to at least. But anyway, that's really, the length of time I want to give. This is the waning phase of the moon. So you started a new moon, and then the moon waxes, and the energy builds and grows to the full moon. And then after the full moon, things start to die down. It's kind of like the full moon's the climax, and then you're going back down the mountain to then start at the bottom again of the new moon energies, the more quiet and internal, introverted, introspective energies. And so, we start the full moon, we're heading towards the new moon, and so then that next new moon initiates, that, and then the waxing phase of the moon as it heads towards the full moon. So I just wanted to clarify that. So December 7th or 8th through December 22nd of this year. And so the full moon in Gemini, when is this going to be happening? At 10:12 p.m. Central Time and 11:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on December 7th. Again, you can try to figure out when this is happening, at your own time zone, to determine whether this takes place on December 7th or 8th. Because, again, it may happen either one of these days, so you kind of want to know for sure. Okay, so the sun and moon are making an exact conjunction at 16 degrees of Sagittarius and Gemini. And so before we get into that, I just want to talk about full moons. What is a full moon? Well, it's a closure. As I said, that it's a climax. It's a culmination, emotions, and all that's been building from the new moon onto the full moon just comes to the surface, and it's time to get out and be social and be extroverted and let those emotions out, and things get illuminated, and there may be flashes of insight, and you may release something during a full moon that's very profound for you. And so with a Gemini full moon, let's talk about Gemini. Gemini is known as the lower mind in astrology. The day-to-day tasks that we need to get done, you getting out into your community, you interacting with people, you reading this, you gathering up the information, the data, the facts. That's very Gemini. It's very small. It rules over the third house of primary education, so, elementary, middle, and high school. Siblings, your neighbors as well, getting together with your community, sharing and gathering information, and connecting with others. Gemini is an air sign. It's very social, it's very bubbly, it's very open minded to interact with others, and share information and have conversations with another person where you are intellectually stimulating, and being intellectually stimulated with that person. And Gemini deals with logic. So very logical. It's ruled by Mercury, so it rules over logic. Now, Sagittarius is the opposite sign. So you have 12 signs. Gemini is the third sign out of the zodiac. Sagittarius is about 6 signs after. So Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius. That's 6 signs. And so these oppose each other. And so the axis of Gemini and Sagittarius is really the learning or the knowledge axis. Sagittarius is higher knowledge, higher education, higher thought, the big ideas. It rules over things like religion and philosophy, seeing life from a much broader lens, zooming out and seeing the bigger picture. And it rules over things like, expansion as well. And searching for the highest, most profound truths in life, of really taking the most advantage out of it and really living the most meaningful life possible. And so Sagittarius also deals with foreign affairs and travel. Traveling to other culture, voyaging to other lands, and expanding your soul and having new experiences. Is always interested in that novel experience. Sagittarius, lives for learning and growing and making the most out of life, getting the most out of it, not staying caught up in the humdrum, same old matters. And so, another thing about Gemini and Sagittarius, Gemini is, learning through the intellectual mind. It rules over knowledge. Sagittarius rules over the experiences that you take on and, experience and gain and sort of add to your, I like to say, your mental files. And then that gets distilled into and turned into wisdom. I've gone through all these experiences, I've learned all these things, this is what I have to teach. Sagittarius is also the teacher of zodiac. And so Sagittarius is very wise. It's a sign that comes later in the zodiac, right before Capricorn, so there is this element of wisdom that comes in, because all the different signs of the different life cycle. Aries is the beginning, it's the infant, then you have Gemini, and then, from Aries to Pisces. Pisces is the end of life, retirement, reflection, surrender to a higher power. All the themes related to Pisces. That's kind of another can of worms. But a couple of aspects that are going on at this full moon is the sun opposing Mars. And so the sun is how we put ourselves into the world. It represents your ego and your individual self. All the other planets in your natal chart revolve around it. It's perhaps the most important and most prominent and common feature in, the astrology, like basic astrology, which is a, Sagittarian topic. Well, sort of the narrow version of it is, what's your sign, but really it should be what's your sun sign, because the sun is one part of your whole natal chart. And so the sun is opposing Mars. So the sun is in Sagittarius, Mars is in Gemini, and Mars is the planet of action, activation, energy, um, really primal desires. It's, the fuel that you have to accomplish your tasks. It's your male energy. That's what Mars is. And so with the sun opposing Mars, there could be issues with anger or passion around this time, with, any kind of argument or any kind of goal or project that you want to achieve. Um, and maybe there could be limitations on achieving that, and really going over the top with expressing your passion and anger. Um, so be aware of if you hurt others or harm others, or bulldoze um, others and leave wounds with your words, or any kind of verbal or physical outbursts. Egoic outbursts is another area with Sun opposite Mars. Remember that oppositions are more difficult aspects, the squares and oppositions. And so so these two very hot and masculine planets coming together in opposition, this is what it's like. And so there is this feeling like you need to be in control of things. Feeling very sensitive to if you're having your power taken or stripped away from you, and needing to have the power to be empowered and to be in charge and have things really go your way, so that you don't feel done and you feel, again, in control. And there could also be, knowing where to, exercise the control for the better, of how you're using this energy, and being the leader and being the force for greater good, and the initiator, and the um, that role model that other people can look up to. And because Mars is very cardinal, it rules Aries, it's very cardinal. And so feeling like you need to be in control, where do you need to sort of step up to the plate with that control, and step back from having to be in control? And the serenity prayer: God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, the wisdom to know the difference, comes into play here. And so there could also be some issues with authority figures, and figures that are more powerful than you, that are above you, and there's issues with being told what to do. And also, you could be feeling a very strong sense of self-assertion to go after what you desire, and really, let yourself, give yourself the get out of jail free card to, assert yourself, and do what you want to do, and get what you want done, and do that while not hurting other people, while knowing when to draw the line, knowing when to moderate yourself, knowing when enough is enough, and not completely leaving other people out of the picture. And fighting and resistance come into play here as well. With Mars opposite Neptune, you could be feeling like fighting against somebody, or resisting, really, really determined to put up a fight and to win a battle to the better end. There could be feelings like feeling real, straight, or direct, or blunt with your words, and really making your actions very deliberate and purposeful. Um, and just saying, speaking to how it is, saying what's true and what's real, and well, that's wonderful, don't hurt or offend, or tear other people down because of that. So just be aware of the just of that, of the emotions, those intense emotions of passion, anger, etc. In your system, and it's important to let them out in constructive ways and not, just, have an outburst and go crazy. And, this could be journaling about it, exercising, getting physical, speaking about it, responding as opposed to reacting, with a partner, spouse, family member, or friend, saying, what bothers you and what you need to say, and not, holding it in, because, what you resist feeling and resist releasing just persists and just gets worse. So, nip it in the bud. And then take action in the direction that you want to go in. Getting decisive, getting clear. And, and really, again, taking action and heading in that direction. And so the other aspect going on at this time is the moon actually coming to a conjunction with Mars retrograde. So with Mars retrograde, I have a video that I did about that. It is all about, reflecting over your actions and, not overdoing it or, pushing yourself too much. And with Gemini, it can go off in multiple directions and get very scattered. And so with the moon conjunct Mars, let's just begin there. There could be feelings of strength and passion and courage, both collectively and individually, and willing, really willing, and the desire to fight for what you want and need, and the bravery to go into the unknown and get what you want or need. And so it's a wonderful time to initiate, to just start brand new things. And there's a fresh new energy with this aspect. And, the downside of this is having a temper, because you have the moon, which is your moods and your emotions and your, more instinctual nature, with Mars, kind of anger and aggression arguments. It's so important to calm down when you notice yourself just, all those emotions, and, it gets very overwhelming, and, you need to let it out, and, it just feels like there's so much pent up anger, and you're, bottling it up, and you feel like you, just want to scream it out loud or let it out. But again, don't, do so in a way that hurts relationships with other people, and, know how would be the wise way of expressing that anger. And, not being impulsive, choosing your actions carefully, looking before you leap as well. And there's many ways to use this energy in a very productive way. And so choose what you really want, because Gemini, again, can get all scattered in various directions. Now is the time to, okay, this is what I want. This is what is important to me, or maybe more important to me, or what's most important to me, what I most value. I'm going to go after this. That is really the full moon in Gemini, December 7th and 8th, 2022. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.